You're live on the cloud. Now what? The journey is just beginning. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of our podcast series talking about Workday release management. Excited once again to be joined by Kristen Resnick and Jesse Sykes, two of my Workday team colleagues. Kristen, Jesse, thanks so much for your time today. Our discussion today is going to focus on analyzing and assessing the vast amount of information that Workday puts out with regards to each release. And how do we dig into that? How do we assess not only the features and what might be right for our organization? So Jesse, I'll start with you. What are the main things a team and institution should be considering as they start to read through those notes and try to understand what is making up a particular Workday release?
Sure, thanks, Kyle. So first thing I will start off with is that there typically is a large volume of new feature releases that are available with each release. So first and foremost is really prioritizing those. Oftentimes we do see a lot of them just fall off immediately because they're not applicable for the institution. But then from those that are kind of more in scope, prioritizing the need for the institution of uptaking that functionality, but then also there's a level of effort that is designated for each of these feature releases. So some might be little tweaks in the system, whereas others might be larger overhauls of entire processes. So really understanding that with analyzing each feature. And then the other level to that is also responsibilities that are going to be assigned. So with specific people in the institution who's taking care of addressing each of these features, but then furthermore, that's testing of the features, configuration of the features, and then finally moving those features into the production environment once able to do so. And a lot of those being optional features as well. So some might be applicable for the institution, but there are a lot of optional features we see that the institution might not be able to get to for a specific release. So typically what we see with our clients is if there's not necessarily bandwidth to take care of all of those optional features that come with a specific release, they will establish kind of a list or repository of available optional releases that they are saying we can't get to it right now exactly, but we'd like to get to it in the future, and just having that list to be able to work on those features in the future.
Yes, Jesse, I agree that the optional features, it's not just about what you can do right during the release, but you do want to take advantage of your existing governance structure that includes various stakeholders who can help make some of those decisions. It is partly about bandwidth, but it's also about priority and what is going to have the greatest impact to your organization. And so you want to try to balance all of those things, but those the established governance process and incorporating them in part of how you handle release management, part of the strategy from the beginning, can really make a difference and make sure that you have the backing across the organization whenever you are making those decisions, because there's a lot of great option features, but you also want to make sure, as Jesse mentioned, that you do put them on a list, because you don't want to miss out on those opt-in features just because you weren't able to tackle them by that deadline of the Workday release.
Great points, right? It's one thing to understand what's in the release. The second part of that is, well, what makes sense for our institution at this point in time versus something that we're going to address a little bit later. And certainly that's a really important consideration. And as you said, Kristen, institutions should be leveraging those structures and processes that hopefully they had in place from the implementation project and what they're using ongoing to manage their Workday application. Jesse, Kristen, thanks so much for your time today and for your perspective. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. Hope you'll join us next time. We hope this session helped you see through the clouds. See you next week.